Hi, my name is Cherri Freeman, and I am the founder of a ministry of support for moms who have kids in addiction called Love Them to Life. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my background and how I ended up being called into this ministry by Father. I was raised around addiction, but in a slightly different way. I was raised at the America's Keswick Colony of Mercy, founded by my great-grandfather. And so I grew up with people, at that time, primarily people in alcohol addiction. And they became some of our best friends. They were the guys who built us a playhouse and helped us ride horses. And so I thought I knew a lot about addiction at that time, and I really didn't. Throughout life, I went to great schools, graduated from Wheaton College, and life seemed to be going along in a wonderful pattern, and yet there were issues that I had never dealt with in my own life. One of those was my identity with Christ. And even though I had been saved as a child, I felt like I was just a blip in the world. That when in John 3:16 it talks about God so loved the world, I just thought I was one of the millions of people in the world, and that really, that Jesus wouldn't have come just for me. And so that colored so much of my life in thinking that that what I did really didn't matter all that much. And so I made some choices that I'm not proud of at all, but God has used those things to teach me that He is my identity and that He absolutely adores me. And so one of the things that we do in our ministry, my husband Joe and I are in full-time ministry, and we reach out to those in addiction and to those who love them. And so we talk about identity as being really the key in getting well, in healing the woundedness that we have inside of us. And that identity is as a princess of the Most High, as a daughter of the King, and that He absolutely adores me, and that He would have come just for me. And that was a concept I didn't get for so long. But God, in His gracious mercy, allowed me to learn that. And in many ways, a conference that Joe and I attended in Grace Fellowship in the fall of 2011 really cemented those truths to me. I did not, growing up, ever envision anybody in my family becoming involved in addiction. And yet, to my surprise and dismay, I have had 2 children involved in addiction. My son started when he was 18 and got involved in pot. And there was a lot of woundedness in his life. But I was completely shattered and blown away by the fact that he had made this choice. He had grown up at Keswick. How could this be? It didn't make any sense. And then to find out that my youngest daughter also went down that path. I can now understand, as I look back, and with the teaching that we do about woundedness, I can look back at the things that have happened in their lives that led them to try to fill that hole in the soul with alcohol, with drugs, with sex, and all of those things. And so they slid into addiction that they never thought that they would do. As a result of that, I really felt a burden for other mothers who have no idea what to do. And we moms, we nurture our kids. We carried them for 9 months. We take care of them. And when they're hurting, we pick them up and we bandage their knees or we hug them. And so it's just a natural progression that when they are doing bad things, things that are destructive, we want to help them. Well, that helping often turns out to be enabling. And that's the absolute worst thing that we can do. And so the name of the ministry is Love Them to Life. Because we talk about, I love my kids so much. I love them to death. Well, we can do that. And we can be the ones who are nailing the lid onto their coffins. And unfortunately, so many moms, in an effort to do the right thing, and I remember thinking this, if I could just pay my son's fines, then he'll be on level ground and he'll be okay. And then he can start making good choices. The problem was, it didn't work. And I enabled him to continue down this path of addiction, to go further and further and deeper into it. And so as I met my husband, Joe, I began to learn from his experience and his perspective of having had 40 years of addiction that no, what I was doing was actually making myself feel better and not my child to do better. And so it all came down to identity. What was my identity? If my identity was truly in Christ, then I would have the courage to say, I love you, but I can't. I can't do this anymore. And it took a lot of breaking in my life to be able to change the locks on the door, to be able to say this far and no further. You cannot do this. You cannot stay in my house. I'm sorry that you're going to be out on the street. I hate that, but I can't allow you to do this under my roof. In the process of learning all of that and having my heart ripped out, God impressed on me the need to be able to reach out to other moms who have no clue as to what to do. And so we started Love Them to Life. There's a book called Beside Still Waters. And what we do is not only counsel women who call, and I've had women call from really literally all over the country to say, my child just got arrested, what do I do? Or my child is in the midst of heroin addiction and I don't have a clue as to what to do. And so what we do is counsel them, but in the process, God allowed me to start a network of support groups because we as moms need each other. We need to be able to go and to be transparent and to be able to say, I did this. I'm really ashamed that I did this, but I did this. I think of one of the moms who came to group, and she has come from one of the major enablers that I've ever met in my life to really becoming strong. But she came in one week, and I'll never forget it, and she said, I can't believe I'm telling you this, but I gave my son my urine to take to probation so that he would not get put in jail before Christmas, because I wanted him home for Christmas. I knew he would be in after that, but I wanted him home for Christmas. And she came in almost in tears and said, I cannot believe that I did this. And now she is strong in the Lord. She's growing, and she's able to say, I love you, but I'm sorry, you need to experience the consequences of your behavior. And so one of the things we talk about is assisting them to brokenness. Well, what does that look like? Brokenness doesn't sound like a good thing. It sounds like something that we have tried to avoid for their whole lives. We want them to have the good friends and go to the good schools and to have the right nutrition and get sleep at night. And we try to help them and enforce the ideas of this is healthy life. But it's the reverse when it comes to somebody who has dedicated their life to addiction. So they're filling that hole in their soul with a substance or with a behavior. And our point is to assist them to get to the place where they come to their end, and that the only place they have to go is up. And when I say up, that is that Jesus Christ is the only one who can fill that hole in their soul. And so the purpose of Love Them to Life is to encourage moms not only to make the right choices with their kids, but also to know who they are. Because their identity has been so wrapped up in being mom the fixer, mom the enabler, and many times mom the codependent. And so to really truly understand from God's perspective who they are, we teach them about their identity in Christ, and that it is so important that we not have our identity wrapped up in externals, and that we, as my husband Joe always says, that we remain vertical, and that even when it seems like life is falling apart around us, that what we are focused on is our life in Christ and His life through us. That's the best hope for our kids to get well, is if we are not enabling, if we are learning who we are and our identity in Christ, our kids can see that. And so when we say, I love you too much to allow you to live at home, and I'm sorry that you have to experience those consequences of your choices, I will always love you, but I love you too much to allow you to continue to do what you're doing. And so our goal is to be able to have a network spread across the country, even to be able to have moms who are getting together. It doesn't take anybody with a counseling degree. It's moms who have a passion for getting well and for reaching out to other moms and sharing the life that Christ has given us despite everything. I'll finish with one example, a mom who has come to our group almost from the very beginning, and she has had 3 sons and has 3 sons in addiction. They were doing well for a while, and now they're back into it again. And this has been a constant stress in her life for many years, that it seems like one would do well and then they would slip back. She has had 1 granddaughter born in addiction because of methadone that the mother was on, and now her heart is broken again because there's a 2nd child on the way, and that child will be born addicted also. But this courageous young woman has taken a step back and said, Christ is my life. My children are not my life. I love them, but Christ is my life. And so there has been a huge change. She used to allow them to live with her, give money, all of those things. And she said, no more. We're not doing this anymore. And so the goal of Love Them to Life is to help moms to grow and to understand who they are in Christ so that they don't need to enable in order to feel good about themselves. We have a website. It's lovethemtolife.com. Very welcome to reach out to us on that. And if you have any interest, there's contact information on that website as to how you can reach me directly. Thank you for your time.